1898, 33 years after the abolishment of slavery, the state of Alabama, over 75% of their state budget was provided by what they called the convict leasing system. This is where incarcerated individuals would do forced labor and the state would benefit. And that was perfectly legal at the time, constitutionally legal. And now the state of Alabama is trying to do something eerily similar in what many people are calling a form of modern-day slavery. The Alabama Department of Corrections is using their prison inmates to get cheap labor. And with over 50% of the prison populations being specifically black men, you can only imagine the faces of this coerced labor force. In this coerced labor tactic, the state of Alabama has what they call a work release program. And one former incarcerated woman, Elizabeth Thomas, was interviewed by the news media organization We the People in 2024. And she recalls her experience in that work release program. She worked at Golden Corral and in the kitchen and managed the kitchen. And she recalls working much longer hours than many of her free co-workers. And she also was not allowed sick days. She would either be punished for those sick days or would be forced to go into work if she tried to take a sick day. In 2022, the state of Alabama ratified their 1901 Constitution, which was in line with the abolishment of slavery. And in 2022, they removed the racist language that mentioned in punishment for a crime. So what did Governor Kay Ivey do? She found a way to work around that. She had an executive order number 725. And with this executive order, this made refusal to work and disobeying a direct order from a correctional officer a high-level offense for an inmate. And that is in line with offenses like rioting and assault. These individuals who would be punished for refusing to work or refusing an order would lose some of what they call good time. This good time is an accumulation of good behavior, and you could potentially have a shortened sentence if you keep up this good time. But if you refuse to work, you can lose up to 3 years with this high-level violation. In many instances, the individuals who are eligible for this work release program are paid, in every instance, they are paid $7.25 an hour. That is the state minimum. And the state of Alabama has hundreds of contracts with different corporations like Golden Corral, McDonald's, Wendy's, and many other places that are local to Alabama as well. So many of the individuals that you see out and about serving you a burger may be an incarcerated individual. And of that minimum wage pay, the Alabama Department of Corrections takes off a 40% fee for what they say is for, quote, defraying the cost of his or her incarceration, end quote. That's according to their work release pamphlet in 2024. So before taxes, this is a minimum wage pay. This is not a living pay. The Alabama Department of Corrections is receiving a benefit. They also receive benefits by little hidden fees here and there. There is a $5 round trip a day fee for transportation. There's also a weekly $15 fee for laundry. And if you wanted to send money to an incarcerated individual, they would take a 15% fee off the top of that as well. And the incarcerated individuals have what they call an inmate trust fund. And in this trust fund, if their amount is less than $300, they're only allowed a certain amount a week. $90 is what they're allowed to take out a week. If their account is over $300, which is not very likely considering all of the different fees and the work that they have to do. In many cases, these individuals are denied parole. According to Alabama Code 15-22-26, these individuals are not a threat to the public because they are allowed to work. So this would make them eligible for parole, but in many cases they are denied. And in another instance, the work release program allows for what they call a furlough, which is a 72-hour weekend pass. So these individuals are free to go home on the weekends and see their families and do whatever, be completely free, but oftentimes they are denied parole. According to the Prison Policy Initiative in 2022, the state of Alabama's parole rates were 10% lower than the national average. And according to Alabama.com or AL.com in 2023, the state of, in between April and May of 2023, the state of Alabama reported that Black men were 25% less likely to be admitted parole than white men. In one instance, Miss Elizabeth Thomas said that the Alabama Department of Corrections should not be called the Alabama Department of Corrections. They're not correcting anything. They should just be called the Alabama Department because nothing is being corrected. All they do is maybe teach them how to work how they want them to work. These prisons are not being used as rehabilitation centers. As I've touched on before in previous speeches, the Alabama Department of Corrections handling of the care of their prisoners is terrible, unwell. So what can we do? What can we as Alabama citizens or citizens of any other state do? This is not just happening in the state of Alabama. So what we can do is call our state representatives. Whatever county you are in or city you are in, you can find their number and advocate for reformation in this area of the state. We can talk about it. We can have more open-ended conversations about our opinions or about the facts. It's important that these individuals are not completely disregarded because we are paying taxes to take care of them. I would think that we want them to be rehabilitated and we want them to be well. Another way that we can do our part is be informed. We can inform others. We can keep ourselves updated on different policy changes as they come along. And all we can do is really work with our degrees and see how we can fit and advocate for these individuals. I thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you are reflective on this topic as I have had the chance to be. Thank you so much.